Welcome to workshop number 3 on stress management. The goal of this workshop is to help you learn what stress is, understand how it affects you, and learn how to make it work for you instead of against you. So the definition of stress is any interference that disturbs a person's mental or physical well-being. Think about how stress affects you. There are many ways it manifests itself. Here's a short video and some basic information about stress.
Watch this. One little piece of paper can have a remarkable effect. Stress is stressful. But if you understand a bit about what it is, you'll be better able to deal with it. First, though, take a few deep breaths. In fact, do that anytime you feel stressed. It helps. Stress is a survival mechanism. When danger appears, it can get you out of trouble quickly. Your body crashes up the gears and throws all its resources into getting you moving. Your heart pumps furiously to increase blood pressure, glucose is sent to the muscles as a fuel injection, and you become totally focused on what psychologists call fight or flight. Thing is, this emergency state is only meant to last just long enough to get you out of danger. But here in the 21st century, we stress about different things, and for much, much longer. Your brain and body stay on red alert, and you'll be less able to think clearly, learn, or remember things. Take a few more deep breaths, because as you now know, stress is a physical reaction, and deep breathing helps to counteract its effects. So, what else can you do? Okay, top tips to reduce stress. First, get plenty of exercise. Let out all that locked up energy. Now, back to the problem. Get in control. Scope out the situation and how you're going to tackle it. Don't stress alone. Talk to someone. Socialize. And have a laugh. You can't laugh and quake with fear at the same time. Get down with nature on a big or small scale. And if your mind won't stop worrying, give it something else to do instead.
On the Mind Tools website, Carl Albrecht's 4 types of stress are discussed, originating in his book Stress and the Manager. They are time stress, anticipatory stress, situational stress, and encounter stress. So we'll talk about these. Time stress. You experience time stress when you worry about time or the lack thereof. The most common example is worrying about deadlines or rushing to avoid being late for a meeting or a class. How to manage it? Learn good time management skills. You probably have already seen workshop number 2 on time management or managing your mind for time, but if you haven't, go back and check it out as well. Anticipatory stress. To manage it, do positive visualization techniques. See yourself being successful in whatever instance you're worried about. Instead of imagining yourself messing up during the presentation, imagine that you give the best presentation of all. Just as a runner should imagine herself winning and actually visualize herself running well and winning, you should visualize yourself taking the test and doing well. Situational stress. You experience situational stress when you're in a scary situation that you have no control over. A common example for students, situation that involves conflict or making a mistake in front of your group. How to manage it? Learn to manage your emotions or learn conflict resolution. And take deep breaths. Encounter stress. You experience encounter stress when you worry about interacting with a certain person or group of people. A common example, feeling stress from contact overload, when you feel overwhelmed or drained from interacting with too many people. How to manage it? Work on your people skills and use deep breathing exercises. Let's practice some deep breathing now. Take a deep, deep breath in, filling up your lungs completely, all the way in, then let it all the way out. All the air should go completely out so that you've cleansed all of the old stale air out of your lungs. Then take another deep, deep breath in, completely fill up your lungs again. And again, let it out all the way. All of the air goes out. So there is no more stale air in your lungs. It's all good and clean when it comes back in again. That's the speed you need to take deep cleansing breaths when you feel yourself being stressed. You have too much stress. Have any of these happened to you before? You may have maybe difficulty concentrating, increased worrying, trouble completing assignments on time, not going to class, short temper or increased agitation, tension, headaches, tight muscles, a change in eating habits, either you eat too much or not enough due to stress, or maybe your sleeping habits have changed. Maybe you're sleeping too much or not enough. There are also emotional effects of stress, and they may be manifested as anger, hostility, irritability, anxiety, sadness, depression, powerlessness, and feeling totally overwhelmed. Write down 3 to 5 healthy stress relievers and 3 to 5 unhealthy stress relievers. Some of the unhealthy ones might be drinking too much alcohol, binge watching too much on Netflix, or sleeping too much. Some healthier ones might be going out for a run, doing yoga, calling a friend. So take a minute to write some down for yourself. Let's look at these healthy stress relievers as ways to release some stress. Separate yourself from the external stressors. Take a break. Resolve anything that's not completed, but don't procrastinate. Go ahead and get it done. You'll feel better once you've finished it. Look at the big picture and focus on the positive. What have you already accomplished? That's really, really important. Delegate things that you don't absolutely have to do yourself. See if you can get some help. Say no when you can. Understand your boundaries. If it's time for you to study or work on a project or write a paper, that's a good time to say no and not get involved in some kind of volunteer activity or helping out somebody else when it really is going to work against your ability to meet your own goals. Always exercise. Set it aside as an appointment for yourself. At least 3 times a week, but more if possible. Relax. Take a short walk around the building and laugh. Here's another way to look at stress as a way to help you do better. Let's watch this video.
I have a confession to make. But first, I want you to make a little confession to me. In the past year, I want you to just raise your hand if you've experienced relatively little stress. Anyone? How about a moderate amount of stress? Who's experienced a lot of stress? Yeah, me too. But that is not my confession. My confession is this. I am a health psychologist, and my mission is to help people be happier and healthier. But I fear that something I've been teaching for the last 10 years is doing more harm than good, and it has to do with stress. For years, I've been telling people stress makes you sick. It increases the risk of everything from the common cold to cardiovascular disease. Basically, I've turned stress into the enemy. But I've changed my mind about stress. And today, I want to change yours. Let me start with the study that made me rethink my whole approach to stress. This study tracked 30,000 adults in the United States for 8 years. And they started by asking people, how much stress have you experienced in the last year? They also asked, do you believe that stress is harmful for your health? And then they used public death records to find out who died. Okay, some bad news first. People who experienced a lot of stress in the previous year had a 43% increased risk of dying. But that was only true for the people who also believed that stress is harmful for your health. People who experienced a lot of stress but did not view stress as harmful were no more likely to die. In fact, they had the lowest risk of dying of anyone in the study, including people who had relatively little stress. Now, the researchers estimated that over the 8 years they were tracking deaths, 182,000 Americans died prematurely, not from stress, but from the belief that stress is bad for you. That is over 20,000 deaths a year. Now, if that estimate is correct, that would make believing stress is bad for you the 15th largest cause of death in the United States last year, killing more people than skin cancer, HIV, AIDS, and homicide. You can see why this study freaked me out. Here I've been spending so much energy telling people stress is bad for your health. So this study got me wondering, can changing how you think about stress make you healthier? And here the science says yes. When you change your mind about stress, you can change your body's response to stress. Now, to explain how this works, I want you all to pretend that you are participants in a study designed to stress you out. It's called the social stress test. You come into the laboratory, and you're told you have to give a 5-minute impromptu speech on your personal weaknesses to a panel of expert evaluators sitting right in front of you. And to make sure you feel the pressure, there are bright lights and a camera in your face, kind of like this. And the evaluators have been trained to give you discouraging nonverbal feedback, like this. Now that you're sufficiently demoralized, time for part 2, a math test. And unbeknownst to you, the experimenter has been trained to harass you during it. Now, we're going to all do this together. It's going to be fun. For me. Okay. I want you all to count backwards from 996 in increments of 7. You're going to do this out loud as fast as you can, starting with 996. Go. Go faster. Faster, please. You're going too slow. Stop, 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 stop. That guy made a mistake. We're going to have to start all over again. You're not very good at this, are you? Okay, so you get the idea. Now, if you were actually in this study, you'd probably be a little stressed out. Your heart might be pounding. You might be breathing faster, maybe breaking out into a sweat. And normally, we interpret these physical changes as anxiety or signs that we aren't coping very well with the pressure. But what if you viewed them instead as signs that your body was energized, was preparing you to meet this challenge? Now, that is exactly what participants were told in a study conducted at Harvard University. Before they went through the social stress test, they were taught to rethink their stress response as helpful. That pounding heart is preparing you for action. If you're breathing faster, it's no problem. It's getting more oxygen to your brain. And participants who learned to view the stress response as helpful for their performance, well, they were less stressed out, less anxious, more confident. But the most fascinating finding to me was how their physical stress response changed. Now, in a typical stress response, your heart rate goes up and your blood vessels constrict like this. And this is one of the reasons that chronic stress is sometimes associated with cardiovascular disease. It's not really healthy to be in this state all the time. But in the study, when participants viewed their stress response as helpful, their blood vessels stayed relaxed like this. Their heart was still pounding, but this is a much healthier cardiovascular profile. It actually looks a lot like what happens in moments of joy and courage. Over a lifetime of stressful experiences, this one biological change could be the difference between a stress-induced heart attack at age 50 and living well into your 90s. And this is really what the new science of stress reveals, that how you think about stress matters. So my goal as a health psychologist has changed. I no longer want to get rid of your stress. I want to make you better at stress. And we just did a little intervention. If you raised your hand and said you'd had a lot of stress in the last year, we could have saved your life. Because hopefully the next time your heart is pounding from stress, you're going to remember this talk, and you're going to think to yourself, this is my body helping me rise to this challenge. And when you view stress in that way, your body believes you, and your stress response becomes healthier. Now, I said I have over a decade of demonizing stress to redeem myself from. So we are going to do one more intervention. I want to tell you about one of the most underappreciated aspects of the stress response. And the idea is this: stress makes you social. To understand this side of stress, we need to talk about a hormone, oxytocin. And I know oxytocin has already gotten as much hype as a hormone can get. It even has its own cute nickname, the cuddle hormone, because it's released when you hug someone. But this is a very small part of what oxytocin is involved in. Oxytocin is a neurohormone. It fine-tunes your brain's social instincts. It primes you to do things that strengthen close relationships. Oxytocin makes you crave physical contact with your friends and family. It enhances your empathy. It even makes you more willing to help and support the people you care about. Some people have even suggested we should snort oxytocin to become more compassionate and caring. But here's what most people don't understand about oxytocin. It's a stress hormone. Your pituitary gland pumps this stuff out as part of the stress response. It's as much a part of your stress response as the adrenaline that makes your heart pound. And when oxytocin is released in the stress response, it is motivating you to seek support. Your biological stress response is nudging you to tell someone how you feel instead of bottling it up. Your stress response wants to make sure you notice when someone else in your life is struggling so that you can support each other. When life is difficult, your stress response wants you to be surrounded by people who care about you. Okay, so how is knowing this side of stress going to make you healthier? Well, oxytocin doesn't only act on your brain, it also acts on your body. And one of its main roles in your body is to protect your cardiovascular system from the effects of stress. It's a natural anti-inflammatory. It also helps your blood vessels stay relaxed during stress. But my favorite effect on the body is actually on the heart. Your heart has receptors for this hormone. And oxytocin helps heart cells regenerate and heal from any stress-induced damage. This stress hormone strengthens your heart. And the cool thing is that all of these physical benefits of oxytocin are enhanced by social contact and social support. So when you reach out to others under stress, either to seek support or to help someone else, you release more of this hormone, your stress response becomes healthier, and you actually recover faster from stress. I find this amazing that your stress response has a built-in mechanism for stress resilience. And that mechanism is human connection. I want to finish by telling you about one more study. And listen up, because this study could also save a life. This study tracked about 1,000 adults in the United States, and they ranged in age from 34 to 93. And they started the study by asking, how much stress have you experienced in the last year? They also asked, how much time have you spent helping out friends, neighbors, people in your community? And then they used public records for the next 5 years to find out who died. Okay, so the bad news first. For every major stressful life experience, like financial difficulties or family crisis, that increased the risk of dying by 30%. But, and I hope you are expecting a but by now, but that wasn't true for everyone. People who spent time caring for others showed absolutely no stress-related increase in dying, 0. Caring created resilience. And so we see once again that the harmful effects of stress on your health are not inevitable. How you think and how you act can transform your experience of stress. When you choose to view your stress response as helpful, you create the biology of courage. And when you choose to connect with others under stress, you can create resilience. Now, I wouldn't necessarily ask for more stressful experiences in my life, but this science has given me a whole new appreciation for stress. Stress gives us access to our hearts. The compassionate heart that finds joy and meaning in connecting with others. And yes, your pounding physical heart working so hard to give you strength and energy. And when you choose to view stress in this way, you're not just getting better at stress, you're actually making a pretty profound statement. You're saying that you can trust yourself to handle life's challenges. And you're remembering that you don't have to face them alone. Thank you. Thank you.
So I challenge you to start looking at stress as a way for your body to help you succeed. Next time you find yourself in a difficult situation, maybe an exam, or public speaking, or having to give a report in class in front of your friends, take a minute to think about what's going on and rethink your reaction to it. You'll be on the way to more success. Please let me know if you have questions. I'm Lisa Craddock. I'm available by email at lcradit@tlu.edu or phone by 830-372-6305, or you can drop into my office in the Meadows Center in the ASC. I'd love to get to talk with you. Thank you and good luck.